gosh, you guys are so brave. Thank you so much for everything you do. You guys are my heroes. God bless you. This is the waitress at a diner in Klamath Falls, Oregon. She was so effusive because Jared, the fucking dumbass, had told her that we were firefighters. It was the first thing out of his mouth when we sat down. Idiot. When you have a job as manly and badass as Wildlands motherfucking firefighter, and you want to use that to pick up chicks, you wait. You wait to bring that up. That's your trump card. You work your game in every other way to get the girl primed and interested, and then you hit her with the panty dropper, the firefighter line. That one last note to seal the deal. But Jared played our whole fucking hand. He put all the cards on the table before we even opened up our menus. We might as well leave, go to another diner, try our luck with a different set of waitresses. I can't speak for the other guys, but I didn't suggest this diner because the food looked good. I suggested this place because I saw the cute girls working here while we were filling up the rigs at the gas station across the street. All you motherfuckers were sitting in the trucks with the windows rolled up, hotboxing each other with your own farts. To make matters worse, the owner of the restaurant came out to make an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out that we have some very brave men in here with us today. Wildland firefighters from the U.S. Forest Service. The whole restaurant applauded, looking over at us, wide-eyed, smiling. If only they knew what really goes on up in those mountains. I joined the Forest Service to be a badass. I remember growing up in San Diego when the fires happened every year. The ash would float into town from the hills and canyons, and the whole city would smell like sage and bonfire. We had to evacuate during the Harmony Grove fire. I remember sitting in the hotel room, watching the news as people gushed about the brave firefighters that saved homes, rescued pets, fought the blaze head on. During the Cedar Fire, the newscaster actually called it the Battle of Julian. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to be on a Forest Service hotshot crew. I hit the gym, got in shape. I hiked 10 miles every weekend, did 200 push-ups, 60 pull-ups a day, ran 6 miles every morning. I was in the best shape of my life. I finished first in the 45-pound bag race. I could pull a 50-foot hose, 20 yards in 30 seconds. I could dig a 6-foot cup trench, 18 inches deep in under 15 minutes. I got the job. U.S. Forest Service, Type 1 hand crew. I'm a motherfucking hotshot. The classroom portion of our training was conducted by a baby-faced fire captain that looked like Joaquin Phoenix. Whenever he wanted to tell a story from his personal experience, he referred back to the same fire situation over and over again, like it was the only fire he had ever been to. I won't be like that. My summer will be filled with heroism and adventure. I was stationed in Salmon Ridge, Oregon, population 3,209. Right away I had some reservations about the guys in my crew. Most of them were from the small town I was stationed in. It seemed like every weekend somebody got a DUI or crashed their truck. When they found out how old I was, they gave me a nickname, Pops, because I was so much older than everybody else in the crew. I was 26. The town had experienced 3 forest fires in recent memory. The guys in my crew had been responsible for 2 of them. One was a fireworks mishap, the other was just plain old arson. Our first call was to a fire complex outside of Redding, California. A lightning storm had started a series of fires out in the woods. Crews were being called in from all over the region. We were 10 hours away, and by the time we got there, the local incident command felt they had it under control and didn't need our services. Next to a fire outside of Susanville, where we got the same story. Nevada City, Reno, Truckee, Lake Tahoe. We went everywhere that North American Fire Dispatch told us to go. A randy group of mercenaries out on the road, looking for a firefight. At each stop, it was the same story. Sorry, fellas. I think we got this one covered. 3 days at a hotel room in South Lake Tahoe. I was the only one complaining. This wasn't what I had in mind when I joined up. We would spend the days doing thinning operations and the nights roaming the casinos, looking for girls that might find men in yellow, fire-retardant shirts attractive. Future dispatches, more of the same. We bounced all over Oregon, Nevada, California, looking for fires. Nothing. It felt like we were chasing rumors. We hung out at fire camps and ranger stations for days on end. They kept us busy cleaning out trucks, sharpening tools, and washing the trucks. Our off time was a purgatory of watching movies, playing cards, reading Maxim, anything we could do to pass the time. I hadn't prepared for this. I only brought one Jack Kerouac book to read. Oh, but we did get calls. It'd be a bright, pretty day, birds chirping, green trees all around, but in the distance, the flames are licking over the hillside, and the sky is dark with smoke. Driving down some innocuous state road, past cars and trucks going about their business, the thought goes through your head that on the other side of that mountain is hell, and we're driving straight towards it. And when we get there, we're gonna get out of the truck, grab some shovels, and do something about it. We're gonna go fight hell with shovels, at least until the hoses get there. Then we're gonna fight hell with shovels and a garden hose. We're fucking nuts. But we never even made it to hell's doorstep. On one fire, we couldn't make it because there was a gate on the access road, and nobody at Incident Command knew the code. So we left. We got called to another fire, but couldn't make it because the logging trucks were coming down the mountain while the fire trucks were going up, and nobody could figure out what to do. As the season progressed, I began to realize that if something was going to kill me this summer, it wouldn't be the fires. It would be my idiot fellow crew members. It was Ogle turning around completely to talk to you while he was driving 40 down some twisting mountain roads. It was Dodge swinging the Pulaski around over his head like some wannabe Conan the Barbarian. It was Roland falling off a cliff and breaking his ribs. It was Justin having to sit out a day when he ate a habanero pepper on a bet. It was everybody's gleeful willingness to see who could eat a banana peel the fastest or 3 maple leaves without throwing up. One of my favorite incidents was when we were gritting through a month-old fire in Central Oregon. I'd fallen asleep during a break, but was awakened by the sound of a chainsaw up the hill from me. My fellow crew members had found a spot fire in a log, but rather than pulling a hose up to it to put it out there, they decided the best thing to do would be to saw off the burning part and roll it 100 yards down the hill to the river. I woke up just in time to see a 4-foot flaming tree trunk tumbling down the hill towards me. Worse yet, these things, they don't roll evenly, so it seemed to chase me as I ran sideways on the hill. It also left a trail of burning embers that bounced out of the log into the tall, dry grass. The same tall, dry grass I was standing in. It's situations like this that make you appreciate the science behind non-flammable fabrics. In between fires, I turned my attention to the girls in town. There was one girl, Dallas, that worked at the coffee shop in town. When she gave me her number, she actually wrote her name out as Dal Ass. I would have taken her up on the offer, but she had some cold sores on her lips, the same cold sores as all the other dudes in town. There was also the cute redhead that worked at the taxidermy shop next to the A&W. She had just moved back from Seattle. We bonded because I was the first person she had met since moving back that had ever heard of hummus. While she was away, her dad converted her old bedroom into his trophy room. Lying on her bed, I could see directly up into the gullet of a stuffed deer. She had hung tie-dyed shirts and hemp necklaces across the antlers of moose and elk busts on the wall. An antelope had been taken down to make room for a Nirvana poster. She hid her weed in the mouth of a mountain bear. I still wanted to fight a fire. No mop-up, no control burn. I wanted a real fire, at least once this summer. And on the second to last week of the season, I got my chance. A lightning storm had set off a dozen blazes in the mountain outside our base camp. We froze when we heard the call come over the radio. It took a second for it to sink in. That was for us, and this is for real. Our first initial attack. My adrenaline spiked, my shoulders tensed. The butterflies in my stomach morphed into swarming bats. When we got there, I see what looks like a wild dance of fire and charred wood. What was left of the lightning strike tree had crumpled into a pile of burning logs on the ground, stacked like a bonfire for a giant. The heat was insane. Every breath was a mouthful of smoke. I tell you this, I dug like a motherfucker. I was a madman with that Pulaski. I tore every piece of vegetation straight out of the ground, chopped through roots in single mighty blows, pried the stems up and out like I was peeling string cheese. When we got to the top, we pulled our shirts over our faces to dig the rest of the line with the heaviest smoke. Logs cracked and burst in the fire, sparks flew everywhere, saplings were catching on fire and falling all over our line. Finally, the engine crew showed up. 2 men emerged out of smoke with hoses and joined the battle. When everything cleared and the fire was reduced to steam and black earth, that's when I saw this formidable inferno for what it really was. A patch of earth about the size of a dining room table. A really, really big dining room table. So anyways, back to that waitress in the diner, Klamath Falls. This is why I'm pissed at Jared. Just from a pure game perspective, it's bad enough that he put all our cards on the table right away. But if you want to tell girls you're a firefighter, you gotta be careful. You have to tell them last. If you tell them right at the beginning, as they're just getting to know you, they might ask you to tell a story, something to validate the perceived badassery of being a firefighter. And guess what, Jared? You don't have any game, and you don't have any stories. I know. I was with you all summer. I know what your farts smell like. I know how you like to play poker. I know who your favorite model was in last month's Maxim, but I never saw you swing a tool.